I, female 43, broke up with my ex, Charlie, male 42, last spring after finding out that he cheated with his ex, Sandy, female 34. We were together for 3 years, during which I was a very committed stepmother to his kid, Sarah, female nearly adult. She and I never acted like mother-daughter, but I was the go-to adult when she had problems or needed anything because she and her mom didn't get along, and my ex would try to help, but his solutions weren't very effective. 1.5 years ago, I completed a very ambitious project for a large company. I started getting paid, but after the launch, bonuses and royalties only came in this year. I was so happy and so grateful that I opened accounts for my kids. I decided to give Sarah the birthday party that she wanted. Her birthday falls in July and she wanted a pajama party for 25 people, with a big bash, fancy cake, balloons and a DJ, and to go along with her friends to stay in a hotel out of town. This would be for her 18th birthday, so I set up a savings account under my main bank account. Charlie ended up asking me to help him fund a business idea, but I declined for a variety of reasons. We weren't married and I preferred to go solo. His business idea sucked because he was inventing the wheel and I would be finding everything. We ended up having to close the conversation because he got angry and he said he needed a helpful partner by his side. I responded that I was taught not to give men my money. I know I was harsh and I apologized. I began feeling very insecure when Charlie started criticizing my makeup and personal style. He also praised other women to my face, and I felt horrible. Early in the relationship, we had issues because of his communication with Sarah, his ex, which resulted in him promising to cut her off. Fast forward, I noticed that Sarah was very active on his family's social media. She gave likes and commented a lot, so I asked him if they were still in contact because it just didn't make sense. He denied it. I went on a 10-day business trip and our communication was very off. He would only take my calls until early at night and became very vague about his daily activities. I couldn't reach him for 2 nights, several days apart. He sounded weird when we finally talked, so I lied about delaying my return date for a few days and arrived 1 day earlier instead. I came home to find used protection in the trash. My world was shattered and I threw up. His face changed when he saw me home. He also claimed to have been at his mother's house until late. I said I was sick when he asked what was happening and didn't mention anything, but he rushed to take out the trash and do the laundry. I got into his phone, I know it's wrong, and found hundreds of messages from his ex, pictures, voicemails and conversations as if they'd never broken up. He consulted her about things, told her about his day, etc. Then I found a family chat that made me sick. He, Sarah and Sandy spent a whole 2 days at a camping site last year when I went to visit family, and there were pictures from last Christmas with his ex at his mother's house. Obviously, he had a full-blown relationship behind my back and his entire family was aware of it. I directly confronted him, and he tried to deny it until I played one of the voicemails. I couldn't take the humiliation, so I moved out weeks later. I closed the bank account for the birthday bash and kept the money for myself. I cut everyone off, including his kid. He reached out in the last week of May. He pleaded with me not to take away Sarah's birthday celebration. I never replied. I know she's a teenager and that she has no control over her dad's actions, but she seems awfully comfortable in her pictures with his ex, and I feel extremely betrayed. Also, there's no way that I'm funding a party that I'm not going to attend for obvious reasons, and I don't want to contribute to a celebration so that his crappy family could eat and drink on my dime. Sarah's mom always had separate celebrations for her, and her gift was supposed to be a camping trip. My ex's family cannot afford the celebration unless they save way in advance. My best friend says that maybe I can send Sarah a gift if I can find it in myself to forgive her actions, but I don't feel like it. His sister sent me a voicemail the other day asking me not to turn my back on her niece. I feel awful because I know this was Sarah's dream, but I'm too disgusted and have to go through with my decision. Am I the idiot for completely cancelling my stepdaughter's birthday bash and leaving her with nothing? Edit: the ex he cheated with is not Sarah's mom. She's an ex-girlfriend and much younger. Her mom is also in her 40s. Not the idiot, she's not a little child. Her cooperation is evident in going on the camping trip and grinning in photos. You cannot betray someone and then ask them to pay for your enjoyment. Don't send money. They didn't take into consideration your feelings when they were hooking up behind your back, lying to you, laughing, and what else? Why should you? They must learn that crappy actions have consequences. C'est la vie. They are not your family anymore. You owe them nothing, period. Especially when the ex is not Sarah's mom. There's no conflict of loyalty here. She doesn't care about your well-being, so why would you care about hers? She might not have realized it at the time, but her compliance with her father's cheating is a severe act of betrayal to your relationship with her and her father. Don't give her the party. Don't give her anything. This will be a powerful lesson for her to grow into a more thoughtful person. She's practically 18 years old. Yeah, never even casually mentioning that she went camping with Dad's ex-girlfriend in conversation for however long that was going on. Sarah knew and was happy to keep you ignorant. If she was under 15, I would be sympathetic, but anyone with morals at her age would know her dad is cheating on OP. His whole damn family knew and actively engaged in hiding this from you. Let them throw a Motel 6 pool party with dominoes and a boombox. You take care of yourself. It might be healthy for you to cut all ties with this group. So I, 18 female, attend university in England, which is where my half-brother Jay, 28, lives. Pretty much our mom, 46, is from Canada and she moved to England to be with his dad. When he was a kid, she went back to Canada to look after our grandma when she had some health issues, and she never went back. She married my dad and pretty soon after I was born and then my younger brother. The thing is, Jay is getting married and I barely know him. I've met him 4 times and the whole time he's been cold and stoic to me, like a machine. The emotion I've seen most out of him was when he saw a photo of my family at my place and he kind of let out a sad chuckle. His fiancée Sarah is really nice and sweet and has been super kind to me, but honestly she's so bubbly and extroverted, and he's a statue. But even beyond how cold he is to me, I don't know his family and I'm scared to be there like the sister nobody knows. So I told him I wasn't going, and he told me that if I didn't want his family to know who I was, I could be seated by Sarah's side and pretend I was from there. But I look just like my mom, so there'd be no point, and everyone would know who I am. When I said that, he just said that Mom expects me to be there, so if I have an issue with it, I should get her permission not to go. Am I the idiot for telling my half-brother I won't attend his wedding? Edit, the invitation was for our mom. She must have told him to invite me the last time they talked on the phone because she's not going and neither is anyone else from our family. Everyone's the idiot here except Jay. Your mother abandoned him at less than 10 years old and the way you talk about him is very cold and othering. Is he not part of our family? You haven't said anything about him that makes him seem rude. He's just awkward about the whole situation. Who wouldn't be? You're an idiot for coming on here and laying the blame at Jay's feet for his cold manner instead of where it rightly belongs, with the adults who made decisions where siblings only 10 years apart met only 4 times. In OP's eyes, he hasn't thrown her a parade and lived up to her Disney-fied Big Brother expectations. In actuality, he hasn't done anything wrong. In fact, he's overcome what many wouldn't be able to in his position by maintaining contact with a negligent mother and trying to, as best he can, interact with OP. I feel sorry for Jay. His mother isn't going to his wedding. I wonder how often he saw her since she left him. Yep, his parent abandoned him at such a young age. He's probably had to learn to hide his emotions. It must be tough for him to try and build a relationship with OP, someone who a child might view as a replacement child that their mother abandoned them for. I'd say he's being the bigger person by working through these issues and inviting OP to his wedding. I'm surprised that no one else has done the maths here. Mom was only 18 when she had him. I'd really love to know how old his dad is, and I'm wondering why his mom left in the way she did. I'm not saying this excuses how she treated her son, but it feels like there's more to this story. You are the idiot. You, your mom, and your dad. If I were Jay, I wouldn't be in touch. I, 37 male, have been married to my wife, 36, for 10 years. When I started dating her, she was a single mom, as her ex had fled the state after she got pregnant. My wife never wanted to tell our son that I wasn't his biological father. She wanted to wait until he was an adult in his 20s, and we decided on that when we married. I found out last week from one of my friends that my wife was having an affair. I confronted my wife about it. She initially denied it, but she admitted to it after I told her I had physical proof. I lied. I asked her how long and she said a few months. I then immediately went to my son and told him everything. I also told him I was not his biological father and that my wife tends to go for these terrible men and I made a mistake marrying her. My son was shocked and asked my wife if what I said was the truth. My wife said yes. My son then came over and hugged me. He was crying and I told him I would always consider him my son. I'm now looking for a divorce lawyer and my son has completely ignored his mom over the past week. She's tried to communicate with him many times, but he always ignores her. To be honest, I think it will really help me in the custody arrangements during the divorce as my son's preference will be considered. My son just wants nothing to do with his mom right now. However, I sometimes feel a bit guilty about it, but I remember that I am the victim. Am I the idiot? My wife chooses these horrible men. Yeah, no, duh, you are one of them, idiot. You aren't the victim anymore, you passed it on to your child. Congrats. He clearly did. He found out the truth, immediately ran to his son and blew up his world. This guy is a big festering idiot. Poor kid. He's the innocent caught in the crossfire between an idiot mother who can't seem to control herself and an idiot dad who straight up told him he's not his real dad as a screw you for his soon-to-be ex. That kid is going to need therapy. Yeah, and from what I'm reading between the lines, he told the kid his wife had an affair, and he's turned his kid away from the mother. Parental alienation much? I'm not sure this will play out well in court for him. It doesn't matter what happens between parents, a child should not be involved in their issues. Recently I, 21 female, had my birthday, and my boyfriend, 21 of 3 years, took me out to dinner. After we had our meal, he told me he'd gotten a gift for me. Now usually when he gets me gifts, they've never been too fancy. For example, last year he got me a pair of shoes I've been wanting and some flowers. We're both only in our early 20s and in college, so neither of us has a lot of money, so I never expected too much in terms of gifts. So when I saw the box of a company I would never even dare to look at, I was extremely excited. But when he opened the box, I saw a pair of gold earrings and my smile shrunk. I asked him why he would get me something gold if I only wore silver. He apologized, but I was still a bit annoyed. And I realized he started becoming more frustrated on our way to his car. I could tell my reaction was bugging him, and eventually he dropped me off at my apartment without coming inside and didn't even let me take the gift. I didn't want my night ruined, so I had some of my girls over, and so I wasn't really on my phone. The morning after my birthday, I realized he had called me twice and sent me a message. To paraphrase, he basically said that he didn't realize it would be such a big deal, and he never pays attention to my jewelry because he finds me beautiful with or without it, and guys generally don't care about jewelry. I'm torn now because I may have overreacted and seemed ungrateful. On the other hand, we've been dating for over 3 years and he doesn't even know what jewelry I like. You are the idiot. You could have gratefully taken it in the spirit it was intended. Then, later on, maybe in a couple of days, politely said that you tried them on, but maybe they don't suit you. You hope he wouldn't be offended if you could go and change them if he had the receipt, and that just in general, if he wanted to buy you jewelry, you think that generally silver looks better on you. See how that is slightly different from effectively throwing his gift back in his face the moment you received it. I get OP could maybe have been more tactful, but they've been together 3 years and she only wears silver jewelry. It's like saying he's a Chelsea fan and she got him an Arsenal shirt, so he should just be grateful. Exchange for whatever sports team you understand the significance of. Women shouldn't have to tiptoe around men's egos when they've messed up. Thank you. After 3 years he hasn't noticed the type of jewelry she likes. This is the type of stuff people let slide, and then, 10 years from now, they're telling us about their inattentive husbands who don't get them a birthday, Christmas or Mother's Day gift. Let's stop infantilizing men with the, oh, men don't notice these things, because then men need to be treated like children within society if this is the case. Could she have been nicer, but honestly rather nip this in the bud? The man got her what she wanted the year before, so he's more capable of giving wanted gifts. I've been dating my fiancée for 4 years and engaged for 7 months. We're trying to plan out a wedding for roughly fall next year. Her childhood was terrible and abusive, to put it mildly. Her parents were raging narcissists, and she was the scapegoat for her 2 brothers. She was abused and thrown out the moment she turned 18. She was, however, a great student and hard worker, so with some scholarships and a part-time job, she has a great career and is pretty independent. The problem, though, is that she still had contact with her family. None of them had changed. Well, something has changed. They've become more financially dependent on her. They enjoy slowly creeping back into her life and emotionally blackmailing her for support or whatever she can do. They're not pleasant about it either. They're rude, smug, and generally enjoy being a nuisance. And my fiancé can't say no, no matter the horrible things they say or how they outright try and intimidate her openly. I've always known her family history and supported her through the issues with them. Still, they've become far more brazen and idiotic in the last year or so. They've come over to our house more often, they make messes everywhere. Her mother acts like she's the damn stepmother from Cinderella. Her dad drinks all my damn beer and empties out half the fridge. Her brothers stop by occasionally to act as mouthpieces for their parents. They practically trash the place and leave us to clean the mess. And where is my fiancé in all this? Quietly standing in the corner, practically shaking. I'm no fool here, there is legitimate trauma. She needs to feel loved by them and hope they will appreciate her. Before one of you noble commenters states the obvious, she's been in therapy for this for years. I've tried to establish boundaries. For nearly 2 years I've been trying to push these clowns away, but this is the house she purchased, and no matter the financial contributions or otherwise, she will let me have a say on who comes into her house. She's been beaten down mentally and emotionally by them for so long. She's told me recently that she wants to earn their approval, how they were right about her, how she needs to be better for them. I've had too many emotional conversations with tears and begging to count, hoping she will take the steps to get better. But she's an adult. I can't force her to do anything. I love her, but I can't help feeling resentful of what she's doing. It's agonizing watching someone you love, someone who you know deserves so much better, openly destroy themselves for people like her family. It's been painful watching her cry herself to sleep one too many nights because of them. I've tried too many times to help her get out of their clutches, but I have to think of the future. What happens when we have kids? What happens when she's postpartum and invites them over? What happens if either of us has a medical emergency? What if our finances get tight and they still demand money? This is the in-law nightmare family, and I won't be able to avoid them. Tomorrow I'm going to tell her how I want to delay the wedding until firm boundaries are established. If she resents, I walk. I can't do it anymore. I refuse to watch a slow death like this any longer. Not the idiot. You can't save her if she doesn't want to be saved. Even if she wanted to, you'd only be able to help and support her. She needs to enforce and hold the boundaries, but she doesn't. It's up to you if you want this for life. You must save yourself if she won't protect her home with you. Dude, imagine what kind of life your children would have if you stayed with her. I feel for her, but this is not tenable. She's not willing to make the change. Don't let her pull you down with her. Move on. I think this should be your argument, OP. You need to get your fiancé to think of your future children. Ask her if she would want your son or daughter to be subjected to them. Ask her how she would feel if they were abused by these people. Tell her you would never agree to children unless she can stand up to them and protect your babies. If she can't do it for herself, she will never be able to do it for your children. If that doesn't wake her up, you should walk away. No one should willingly continue this cycle of abuse and subject others to it, and that includes you and your future family.